Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam 4:12-34. Tatra tatra prasangsadbhi pati vayamanikaih suraihi avakiryamano dadrishe kusumaihi kramasho grahan tatra tatra prasangsadbhi pati vayamanikaih suraihi avakiryamano dadrishe kusumai kramasho grahan tatra tatra prasangsadbhi pati vayamanikaih suraihi avakiryamano dadrishe kusumai pramasho grahan. Tatra tatra, here and there. Prasamsadbhi, by persons engaged in the praise of Dhruva Maharaj. Pati, on the path. Vaimanikaihi, carried by different types of airplanes. Suraihi, by the demigods. Avakiryamanaha, being covered. Dadarshe, could see. Kusumaihi, by flowers. Kramashaha, one after another. Grahan, all the planets of the solar system. While Dhruva Maharaj was passing through space, he gradually saw all the planets of the solar system, and on the path he saw all the demigods in their airplanes, showering flowers upon him like rain. Purport. There is a Vedic version, Yasmin vigate sarvameva vigatam bhavati, which means that by knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything becomes known to the devotee. Similarly, by going to the planet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can know all the other planetary systems on the path to Vaikuntha. We should remember that Dhruva Maharaj's body was different from our bodies. While boarding the Vaikuntha airplane, his body changed to a completely spiritual golden hue. No one can surpass the higher planets in a material body. But when one gets a spiritual body, he can travel not only to the higher planetary system of this material world, but even to the still higher planetary system known as Vaikuntha Loka. It is well known that Narada Muni travels everywhere, both in the spiritual and material worlds. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam Pandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamanang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lulita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Koruna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Prashabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tatra Tatra Prashamsadbhi Pati Vaimanikai Suraihi Avakirya Mano Dadrishe Kusumai Kramasho Grahan. Dhruva Maharaj is ascending to the Vaikuntha planets, and all the demigods are congratulating or glorifying him. Muyanti yat surya, but what is that? Nirmatsaranam satam. They're all non-envious devotees. So they're happy to see Dhruva Maharaj surpassing even their own planets. People are very eager to go to the heavenly planets sometimes. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschita. Those who are on the Vedic path but immature, Vedavadarata partha nanyadasti vadana. They become attracted to the descriptions of the heavenly planets. Or those who are less pious want to go to some nice place here. Or by scientific means they want to bust into to other planets. But Dhruva Maharaj wasn't interested in any of the planets of the material world. Here we're interested, we want to go to Rome, we want to go to Honolulu, but we want to go to Orlando. But even if one goes to the highest planet, Punarvartino Arjuna, one has to come back. Mahamupecha tukantiya punarjanma navidyate. But one who goes back to Godhead never has to return. And that was Dhruva Maharaj's destination. He got to see everything quick. He didn't have to waste time wandering around looking at various planets. He just passed them all. And the controllers of those various planets showered him with flowers, like rain. And Dhruva Maharaj is going back to Godhead in his self-same body. It's being transformed into a body of spiritual qualities. It should be noted also that while Suniti was going to Vaikuntha Loka, she also changed her body into spiritual form. Like Sri Suniti, every mother should train her child to become a devotee like Dhruva Maharaj. Suniti instructed her son, even at the age of 5 years, to be unattached to worldly affairs and to go to the forest to search out the Supreme Lord. She never desired that her son remain at home comfortably without ever undertaking austerities and penances to achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every mother, like Suniti, must take care of her son and train him to become a brahmachari from the age of 5 years, and to undergo austerities and penances for spiritual realization. The benefit will be that if her son becomes a strong devotee like Dhruva, certainly not only will he be transferred back home, back to Godhead, but she will also be transferred with him to the spiritual world, even though she may not be able to undergo austerities and penances in executing devotional service. So we get a clear idea in this section of Srila Prabhupada's take on education. Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. In the Bhagavad Gita, of all kinds of education, Krishna says, I'm spiritual education, Adhyatma Vidya. And that's the kind of training Suniti is noted for having given her son, Dhruva. The ordinary vidya, so-called knowledge, is actually avidya. One should know how to discriminate between the two. In the Ishopanishad it said, Vidyayamritam ashnute. What is that? Vidya, anyadevahur vidyaya, anyad ahura vidyaya. Iti shushamadhiranam yenastad vichachakshire. One should know how to discriminate between vidya and avidya. The materialistic education, although advertised as vidya, is avidya. Yanasha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami. Tasyam jagrati bhutani tanasha pashato munehe. What they call education, we call rubbish, and what they call rubbish, we call education. They think that if you're just chanting Hare Krishna and worshipping deities and doing such things, then you're wasting your life. And we think that if you're going to a great university so that you'll make a lot of money, and get a good career and so on, then you're wasting your life. What they think is night, we think is day. And what they think is, let's get it straight. What we think is day, they think is night, and what we think is night, they think is day. Parallel. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the process of mundane education makes one more and more like an ass. The ass is known for carrying out the work of the washerman carrying big burdens so that he'll get a little grass or vegetable. And the mundane education, Prabhupada said, trains one to be like an ass. How to work for others, to help them get rich, and perform useless activities and have no time for spiritual realization and no interest even. In this way, the human life, durlabha manava janma, the rarely obtained human life, is lost because it's adruvam. It doesn't last. It's already adruvam, temporary, and the mundane, and the parents inclined toward mundane values want their children also to be adruvam, not like Dhruva. Or if they want them to have determination, the determination to succeed in illusory existence. They don't consider na sato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sataha. That which is temporary has no real existence. It will be finished. And that which is permanent has real existence. Therefore, we should be interested in permanent achievements, not in temporary, illusory ones. But those who are under the influence of Maya think that the temporary achievements are what we should focus on, and that the eternal achievements are just some mythology or something we don't care about, something unimportant. Or if the parents are dharmic, then yes, they should get some spiritual education, but that's peripheral or secondary. In one purport, I can't remember where, Prabhupada was explaining that the materialistic householders give some importance to dharma, but not much. The main thing is artha and kama, sense gratification and economic development. This is the focus. Or they would say security and happiness. They're not going to say sense gratification and economic development. Security, economic security, and a happy life. That's what the parents want for their children. Security in a world of death and economic development to please the senses. Kamasya nendriya pritir. Bhagavatam says, no, human life is not meant for that. It's not meant for sense gratification. Labho jiveta yavata, one should be satisfied with what one needs. And elsewhere it said what one needs more or less comes on its own, just as what we don't need comes on its own. No one wants pain, no one wants disease, no one wants trouble, and it comes on its own. So happiness will also come on its own. Therefore, yad richcha labha santushta. One should be satisfied with gain that comes on its own without working so hard. Prabhupada said a householder should invent some simple means of livelihood, devise some simple means of livelihood, and Krishna will help him. Not that one should go into debt by years of education in some prestigious university so that one can make more money than one needs and waste it for material enjoyment and waste the human form of life. That's not the point. Jivasya tattva jigyasa narto yasjeha karmabhi. The real point of life is spiritual realization, and this other business shouldn't be of great importance. And it has its place, but it's not so important. The devotees think my main business is Krishna consciousness, and somehow I have to keep body and soul together. And the materialistic, dharmic householders think that our main business is to have economic security and family happiness and also spiritual realization, down there on the priority list somewhere. So when it comes to education, they want their children to be dharmic karmis. A karmi is a person who works piously, if he's a real karmi. Otherwise, in the extended sense of karmi, he works, that's all, pious or impious. But he's engaged in work, karma, and dharmic karmi. He should have a religious life also. But he should be a karmi. He should work, he should make money, he should have security, he should get married and have a happy family. He should have as many cars as needed, 1 or 2 or 3, depending on how many members of the family there are, 4. He must have a big TV screen and all the other necessities of life. He shouldn't have to undergo too much trouble, and certainly, and why would he want to undergo voluntary trouble? That makes no sense. He should have comfort so that he can be God conscious sometimes. And so if you look at their practical arrangements for their children, apart from the unnecessary necessities like video games and other such toys, when they get serious, they want them to have a serious education for getting ahead in this material world. And they want a thin covering or a little component of Dharma or Krishna consciousness. So if there's 5 or 10 minutes of prayers or arti in the morning, that's very nice. In the public school, they don't have that. But in our school, we can have 5 or 10 minutes of prayers in the morning, and then it's a very good school. And the children will be Krishna conscious, along with going to Stanford or Caltech or Columbia or what have you. Iti Agana. In this way, people are bewildered, and they lead their children on a path toward bewilderment also. Anityam asukam lokam. The material world, it is certified by Krishna to be a temporary and unhappy place. And fools try to make it a place of happiness. Happiness and comfort, if not luxury. So Srila Prabhupada was not at all in favor of dharmic karmi education. At one point, life members in Bombay came forward to ask that ISKCON start a school in Juhu. And Prabhupada, and they were there with the money and everything, and Prabhupada refused, because what they wanted was a dharmic karmi school. A have-it-all school, first-class material education, and some Sanatan Dharma thrown into the mix. And Prabhupada refused. His idea was Gurukul. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasantanta Gururitan, where the children would be taught to control their senses and live like slaves. That is, humble servants of the spiritual master in Krishna. That was Prabhupada's. And they would they would learn how to undergo some discipline and voluntary, trouble. Be trained in tolerating some material trouble. Because it's not that happiness comes from counteracting trouble. Prahlad Maharaj says, we'll counteract trouble and the counteraction will bring more trouble. So it's something like shifting a burden from your right shoulder to your left shoulder and then from your left shoulder to your right shoulder. It doesn't solve the problems of life. It only creates the illusion that we're doing something that makes life happy. So, and what are the chances that after